All right, in this video, we are going to learn the steps for substitution method, specifically for one solution. So the learning target is I can solve a system of equations using the substitution method. Now, these are the steps that could help you with that. Step 1, of course, label the equation. Step 2, solve one equation for either y or x. Sometimes you don't have to do step 2. It's already solved for you. The variable is already isolated. If you don't have to do step number 2, then you can just move on to step number 3. So step number 3 says substitute the equation solved from the previous step into the other equation. So that's where the substitution comes in. Notice over here, when you substitute in step number 3, you should always have the same letter. Notice that it's no longer y and x. We have x's and x's. Sometimes we'll have y's and y's. So just giving you a heads up, step 3, you want to have the same letter. Step 4, you're going to solve for that variable. And you're going to get, hopefully, a variable. If not, we'll go to slide number 4 and we'll talk about the other possible solutions. Once you get an answer, like x equals 5, then you move on to step number 5 and substitute that into the easier equation to get the y equals. And then it's going to be an ordered pair. Now, sometimes it's not always an ordered pair. Sometimes you are left with no x and no y. If you have a true statement, then it's infinitely many. If you have a false statement, then it's no solution. So for example 1, we want to label 1 and 2. If we were to separate the left side and the right side and put them in boxes, we are looking for the box that has a variable that's completely by itself. In this case, the y is by itself. It's isolated. What does that y equals? That y equals 3 equals 6x plus 7. Now, since we have the variable isolated, we want to look at the second equation. So I'm going to rewrite both of them. So we have y equals 6x plus 7. And we have 3x minus 2y equals 4. Now the isolated variable is our y, and it's equal to 6x plus 7. So in the second equation, wherever we see a y, we can replace it. That's the whole point of substitution. The 3x does not get replaced. The minus 2 does not get replaced. The y does. Notice at this step, we have the same letter. That's exactly what we want. We want y gone, and we want it to be replaced by 6x plus 7. Once we have that, it's a multi-step equation. Drop down the 3x. So then it's negative 12x, because we're distributing, minus 14 equals 4. We can combine like terms. Negative 6x minus 14 equals 4. So add 14 on both sides. And then divide by negative 9. We're going to get x equals negative 2. Now that's only one part of our answer. You want to go back to the easier equation. In this case, it's our first equation. And you want to plug that negative 2 into the x. And this is just evaluating. So negative 12, 6 times negative 2 is negative 12, plus 7 is going to get you negative 5. So here the ordered pair is negative 2, negative 5. So since it's an ordered pair, if you look at step number 6, it says the solutions would be one solution, no solution, or infinitely many. Here it's one solution because it's an ordered pair. Now let's move on to the next slide. And you can always check your answers. You can always graph them. So we have y equals 6x plus 7, and we have 3x minus 2y equals 4. They do intersect, and they do intersect at the ordered pair that we found, negative 2, negative 5. So you can always use the graphing method to see if you are correct. If it's an ordered pair, the ordered pair should be identical. If you get no solution for substitution, you would have two parallel lines. And if you had infinitely many solutions doing substitution, then you would have one line for the graph. All right, for slide number 8, this is where we left off in class. We have x that is isolated, and we have y plus 6. So that y plus 6 is going to replace the x in the second equation. So we have y plus 6 because it goes into the x value. And then we have the plus y equals 10 right here. Now notice at this step, we're already on step number 3, right here. Substitute the equation, solve from step 1, it should actually be step 2, into the other equation. So we just did that, we just substituted. And now we can solve. We have y plus another y, which is 2y, plus 6 equals 10. And then we're going to minus 6 on both sides. That should be a positive 2. And then your y equals 2. Now in step number 5, it says substitute the variable solved in step 4 in one of the original equations. I'm going to pick the first equation again, because that looks the easiest. And that 2 is going to go into the y. And then you're just going to evaluate. X equals 8, because 2 plus 6 is 8. Now be careful, we solve for y first. That doesn't mean we're going to write y first. It's actually going to be 8, comma 2, because it's x comma y. So once again, this is an ordered pair. It's one solution. If you were to graph this on your own, the two lines would intersect at 8, comma 2.